Breaking Par is brought to you by Par Breakers Golf Academy in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Powered by Swing Guru 3D Swing Analysis Software. The right move. Find them at www.swingguru.com.
Michael, welcome to Breaking Par. So you're out in the woods today.
I am. I'm out and about today. Just got back with the team from UConn yesterday at their Till Duty is Done tournament with some veterans and stuff like that, which is really cool. And just took a day, help out Dad and do some stuff, and then back to the grind tomorrow. Team practice, and here we go, getting ready for the championships.
So give us an idea of where you're working out of right now. And give our listeners a little bit of insight as to the team that you're coaching and some of the things that you're doing with them at the moment.
Sure. My main focus, obviously, is my golf team, my men's golf team at LIU Brooklyn. We're an NCAA Division I program out of the Northeast Conference. So our season is both fall and spring. We just wrapped up our fourth tournament in the spring. It's been a pretty decent spring. We won our tournament, the Lonnie Barton Invitational, down in Florida to kick off the spring. Then we had a sixth place out of 24 teams at Towson University, their invitational. Incidentally, Arkansas actually ended up winning that event, so it was a pretty good field. Then we finished second. Failed to defend our title at the Seahawk Invitational, but was still a good showing, and a fifth yesterday at UConn's event. So it's been a pretty good spring. And in 2.5 weeks time, we leave for our conference championship down at LPGA in Daytona. So, and then in the summer, I work at Rock Hill Golf and Country Club, teaching up there with Mike Jacobs at X Golf School. We have a gear system, which is $40,000 3D motion capture, full-on integrated 3D system, which measures body and club. We have flight scope, swing catalyst. I think we're going to be adding the AMTI plates, the force plates. So needless to say, we have a lot of toys up there. The indoor lab and studio that we have is set up very well to diagnose, research, and learn a lot about the golf swing.
That's awesome stuff. So I know that you're highly involved in the tech side of all this stuff because both of us are in several private groups on Facebook,
Yes.
and there's always banner going on out there, and I know that you're a guy who embraces technology, but I know that technology is getting a lot of bad press lately. But then I see a lot of good press about it too. So I see our buddy Brian Manzella. I see him up there doing some tech stuff on in the golf magazines and trying to educate the regular golfer out there in the world how valuable this information is and how science is of the utmost importance to raise the level of instruction in this game. And I know that you embrace that. So tell us a little bit about how much are you really utilizing that equipment, and when you do, what is it giving you that if you didn't have it, because we need to hear the insight of another brilliant mind as your own into this information.
There.
No, you're a smart guy. Don't downplay it. You know you are. So you're just a little bit more humble about it. That's all.
I think this is how I equate it. Okay, I think with anything, people want to know really what's going on, right? I think intrinsically people like to know facts. And I think when you're making a swing change, or it really doesn't matter what you're doing. I mean, when you're talking about sports, or you're talking about medicine, or you're talking about just anything in life, I think people just want to know what's going on. If you go to a mechanic, you want to know what's going on with your car. If you go to a doctor, you want to know what's going on. You don't want, well, it looks like this, but I'm really not sure. And, in years past, there have been some people that have tried to dissect it. And they did a good job, not knocking anybody that's done it or done their research, but we just really couldn't measure the way we could now. I mean, technology is allowing us to see things that we didn't see before. And to be honest, I mean, I've said it in the forums. I mean, I wish I can give the money back to people I gave lessons to 10 years ago before all this. And what amazes me is how certain people really don't like it or don't want to embrace it. And I look at it this way. I mean, just to put this in perspective, okay? Communication in golf or in teaching anything will always be paramount. How you communicate to a student is always going to be of the utmost importance because they need to understand it. So, but the funny part is I reference our indoor studio. So let's say last summer, okay, we had a Phantom camera in there for a week. That's 10,000 frames per second. It's a $100,000 piece of equipment. Gears is a $40,000 piece of equipment. We've had TrackMan and FlightScope both in there. It's 25 and 10,000 respectively. We've also had the swing catalyst, pressure mat, and force plates, and the AMTIs all range anywhere between 5,000 to 25,000. So that is a lot of equipment in there. Now, we try to share our research, we try to share our stuff and say, okay, this is what's happening and explain it. And then you have people with a $300 Casio that go, no, this is what I see different. Well, okay, which one do you think is more accurate? I mean, is a doctor looking at an x-ray or is an MRI and a CAT scan? So, again, it's not, not saying that you need this technology to be a good teacher. You don't. We openly share what we do. And all we're trying to do is help people understand what it is so that they can help their students better. And, I think it was Hardesty at the PGA show, at the open forum that we do every year. He was on a panel and he said it the best. He said, I don't care what you teach or what you do. He goes, what every teacher should try to do is rip apart and question what they teach. Go out, find the papers, find people that know more, find people that are doing the research. And if what you're doing is correct and they think it's validated, then you're probably on the right track. But if they don't, and they say, well, that's not entirely accurate, or that's not this, they're not criticizing you personally. They're just trying to tell you to say, okay, for your own knowledge base. And I think as a teacher, you want that. I mean, I love finding out new things on a daily basis, whether, and weekly basis and everything. I mean, there are times we have Dr. Mike Duffy come up and we're having Dr. Kwan come up this year. And, I talk to these guys, or I'll call Dr. Duffy and I'll say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Am I right? And there are times he's like, nope. And I'm like, okay. And he'll explain it to me and I'll have to, reword how I do something or how I communicate it. But what it does is it just makes me a better teacher. It makes me a better coach. I mean, hell, one of the areas that I was the weakest in this is, I'm real big on player development and being a coach. I mean, I did that interview with Cordy talking about it and what the difference is between a teacher and a coach. And really, player development is the key. And there was always a gap there for me. I mean, some players got it, others didn't. So I was looking for new avenues to try to bridge that gap a little bit. So I had met Ian Highfield and I had spoken to him and his Osvia training program. And we've been utilizing it, and it's closed the gap tremendously. Now, how many teachers are going to openly sit there and call another golf professional and say, you know what, you do something that is the weakest, that is, I'm the weakest in my knowledge base, and I want to get better at it. So let's have at it. And, I think any teacher really should do that. Technology is only going to get better. We're only going to learn more. But at the end of the day, it's really just like any technology or anything, it's how the teacher uses it. If you're using technology and you measure, say, 100 people, and you're only using 20 of those or 30 of those because it justifies your methodology or your thinking or your line of thought, then you're really not using it properly. If you're taking the data and objectively looking at it and saying, wow, okay, well, we had this right, and then others going, wow, we really had this wrong, and kind of going there and looking at it and looking at really what actually happens, I think you can be a really good teacher. But that's not always the easiest thing to do for people, and that's the thing. I'm hoping that as we measure more and as we get more people on and as we continue to kind of probe, I'm hoping that golf instruction as a whole will get better. I'm hoping golf commentary on a whole, hopefully, will get better. And hopefully people will be able to improve to reach realistic goals for them and enjoy the game on a lot of different levels, whether it's from a competition standpoint or just to a social standpoint. And that's really what it is. It's just trying to continue to not only grow, and I use that term kind of loosely, but really just preserve the game that we love, and that we do. So
That's some great insight there and some great information for our listeners. And I know that with the technology, when we look back through the history of golf, when you look at before there were video, the human eye sees at 15 frames a second. So there's definitely things that could be missed. Then came along video. That was somewhere from, on average, 30 frames a second. Then came high-speed video, which now is seeing things even better. Now comes AMM and sensors and 3D, which now you can not have to worry about just the exact placement of the camera, because with the 2D, even at high speed, if the camera's a little bit off, you're really not seeing what you think you're seeing. It's something completely different. So all those things. Now 3D is coming in, and if that's with us, either sensors or markerless face on, like let's say Swing Guru, things like that. Now you're seeing information that when you look at it in 3D cyberspace, it's really what's really happening, and now you really know, okay, this is what's really, really happening. And so to me, it's to everybody's advantage, players and coaches alike, to even players, if they can afford something that'll show them this information, at least they know that they're getting the right information. They may not know how to utilize that information. It may take them some time. They might need to see someone like yourself or Michael or Brian or Dr. Duffy or all these other guys, or myself who embrace this kind of technology and like you said before, don't be afraid to, if you're an instructor or if you're just a player, just an amateur player, don't be afraid to contact guys like yourself, like me, like Michael Jacobs, like go to Penn State, contact Dr. Duffy, ask him questions, he'll answer them, and it's that information, like, it's so great that, like, just what we're doing right now, talking on Skype with the web. I mean, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to converse right now, know each other, learn from each other, gather information, use it to help people get better, grow the game of golf. I mean, we're in a world that we can do all this stuff. So, why sit back and not take full advantage of these assets that are right at our fingertips that we can have and utilize to learn and grow?
Well, I think a big part of that, and you bring up a lot of good points, and I think part of that is I think it's complacency, number one, like just being in a comfort zone, I mean, and people can fall into that. If you're in a relationship with someone for a while, you get comfortable, right? You're at a job, you get comfortable, you're kind of, you're information based, you got to get a pretty good handle on it. Your students get better to a point and stuff like that. But I also think too, for a lot of people intrinsically, people are kind of a little bit afraid of being wrong, maybe kind of getting a bruised ego over it or something. I mean, look, we have pros that come up and they call us and they go, can I spend a half a day with you guys? Or can I do this? Absolutely. Right. So, like, two quick stories. So, when we were doing a lot of work with ground forces and, that ground reaction force and
Yep.
stuff like that. So Heath Wassam is the president of our section. Right. So I had posted something on Facebook, and I immediately get a call, and he goes, "I need to come and talk to you." I said, "Sure, come on, right?" And obviously by the look, of me, I'm like, "Okay, what did I do now?" Kind of a thing. And he's like, "No," he goes, "You didn't do anything." He goes, "I need to learn a little more." And I said, "Okay." So he comes in the day before the morning of a tournament that he has a pro-am. So he comes in and he's like, "I know you're big on tech. I know you're big on this. Let's do this." I said, "Okay, no problem." And within 5 swings, he got to from 62% pressure forward at impact. And within 5 swings, went from 62% to 84%. Picked up a full club of distance and 20 yards with his driver. Not only that, with his pressure trace cleaned up, he actually stopped overdrawing and hooking the driver, tightened up his shot pattern. And this was in a span of probably about 5 swings to get the pressure better and to really clean up the trace is about a half hour. So we get done with the lesson, and he goes, I said, "Can I ask you something?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How would you classify that lesson? Like, did you think it was like a very technical lesson?" And he goes, "Actually," he goes, "that was probably the simplest golf lesson I got in my entire life." I said, "Okay." I said, "I don't, in the forums, I think people misunderstand at times. Like, when you're in a biomechanics forum or a teaching professional forum or something, it's a private forum that's teacher to teacher or teacher to doctor or teacher to scientist. So yes, sometimes we do use big words and pronation and supination and this and that and everything else. We don't use that on a lesson tee.
No, not at all.
Like, ever.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
I think people, misconstrue that. I also had Dave Pizzino, a very good friend of mine, who's the head coach at UConn, head men's coach, is a great coach. He came down from Connecticut, okay, to come and see me to jump on gears. Now, David had some health issues when he was younger, has a couple health issues now, some limited range of motion, stuff like that, and wanted to hit the ball better. So he's like, "I just want to see what this technology is about." I said, "Have at it. Come on down." Spent a half a day with me. After that, this was in December, okay, December or January. Now, I had just seen him this weekend, and he was telling me, he goes, "We went to spring break. I was playing with my guys." He goes, "Mike," he goes, "I can't thank you enough." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I have never hit it this good." He goes, "I've never." He goes, "My guys were like, 'Holy cow, like, coach, you should try to play again,' kind of a thing." And when he was there, he said, "I always heard people tell me I need to get to my left side and I need to do this and I need to do that." He goes, "But nobody ever showed me how to do it." He goes, "With the work you're doing with ground force, with the work you're doing with hand path, with the work you're doing with gears and everything else," he goes, "that really, kind of hit it home for me." He goes, and nobody's ever taken that approach. And I said, "Okay, so, well, listen, I'm glad I can help." I mean, I didn't really, I said, "I didn't really do much." I said, it was equivalent to two friends, like, just chatting over a beer or something and just talking golf and saying, "Okay, now this, let's do this and let's do this. And how does this feel?" And everything else. And again, it was with all the information gears spits out and all the sensors and everything else. I used 2 parameters, 2. That was it. And he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "it was pretty simple." And again, the technology is great, but it's only as good as you use it. I mean, listen, put me in an Indy car, right? And put Michael Schumacher in an Indy car, right? And it doesn't matter. The car is the same. he's gonna whoop me every time because he's just a better driver. He knows how to use it.
Yeah.
So, the technology has to be there. I mean, and you have to know how to use it and how to get the most out of it. And I think that's where it gets lost, because a lot of people have what I would say lesser technology, and it's not a knock, right? And they think all of a sudden that they're experts, right? And I talk to these guys all the time. They're in the forums, like, it's like, oh, well, this system has 2 sensors, like 2. We have a lot more. Like, we have it all over the body. Okay, let's be fair here. Okay, we can add sensors when we want. We can add markers. We can kind of do all this stuff, and it's like, let's not overstate what we're doing. Every piece of tech, and I can't say this enough, every piece of technology, from the camera to the Phantom camera to gears to everything, AMM is good. And every piece, including gears and AMM and everything else, has certain limitations. You need to understand what they are and what the goal is, and look at the information objectively. And if you can do that, you can, I think, really make some difference in helping people get better.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that the magic word that you said in that, when you spoke about that gentleman who came and was working on transferring his weight more to his front foot, but nobody knew how to really explain that to him. And I think the magic word in what you said there was, how does that feel? So and then you saw and you had the information as to how it was changing. He turned that into feel, and then he went out and he did it. So a good example of that, old school, is Sam Snead used to play in bare feet so that he could feel where the ground force was and change the path of his swing. Now, I mean, we're talking about Sam Snead here. So this is someone who has some, not only tremendous athletic ability and could kick a door jamb over his head when he was 80 years old, which is, to me, insane.
I mean, I'm hoping to make it to 80. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, crazy stuff. I mean, talk about an athlete. And then, but he understood right then and there, back before anybody even knew what ground force even was, that if he could feel what he was doing and how he was creating pressure into the ground, that he could change the flight of the ball. Now, he didn't have any way but his pure feel of that and the result of what the ball did to actually know whether it was working and what was happening. So there was a lot of, like the old Ben Hogan, digging it out of the dirt. It was more like feeling it out of the ground for Sam Snead. But the great thing about the technology now is that you can see when it's happening. The player can see it. They can translate that into feel. Now they can start to make things happen. Now all of a sudden, like you said, he's not hooking it off the planet anymore. He's getting 20 more yards. I mean, all these things are just so much easier for a player to improve in a shorter span of time, just because they have the correct information and they have someone who can, I don't want to say dumb it down, but turn it into a feel type thing, so that because that's what 9 out of 10 players relate to is feel. And so it's, I mean, I know that I'm a feel player. I think most really good players are feel players. There are some who are mechanical or who are more technical about positions and things like that. But the brain doesn't usually like to work in positions. It usually likes to work in fluidity and in feel to translate an athletic motion.
Well, think of it this way. I mean, first of all, I always tell my players and my students, I'm like, you can play with a feel, you can't play with a thought. Okay, I mean, that's just what it is, right? The golf swing is so fast. So what I never understood, and you got to understand, like, I got in the game a little late. Okay, I didn't pick up golf till I was 14, 15. Okay, and I played, made the varsity team, and then got a full scholarship to go play golf at LIU. So, my background was baseball, football, basketball, things of that nature. So never in any sport have I ever been coached or taught the way golf does. So right from day one, it made no sense to me. I said, let me get this straight. I said, the swing is a dynamic motion. I'm constantly moving. I'm not stopping at any point in the swing. And you want me to think of a static position or try to hit a static position. Makes no sense to me. Okay. I mean, look at how golf is taught. Okay. Do you really think now you have teachers that will take a student, okay, and listen, for all Ben Hogan did and everything else, okay, take a student on a lesson tee and show a still of Ben Hogan from 1950 whatever, okay, that's 70 plus years old. Well, let's see. I know that if I'm a hitting coach, do you think that the Yankees hitting coach took Derek Jeter aside, showed him a picture of Babe Ruth and said, see, you don't have enough lead wrist pronation. You need to do this, or you need more flexion. You must be out of your mind if you think that's what they do. If you think other sports are coached and taught the way golf is, you are out of your mind. And I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that makes, to me, much sense. Everything has to be about feel. I had a player this week, one of my players, okay, and I think my feelings on kind of any kind of swing methods or systems or whatever, to me, just golf doesn't fit in a box. Sports doesn't fit into a box. Hell, life doesn't fit into a box. Okay, let's be fair. So I had a student that he was like, Coach, man, I've been struggling with my contact, been doing this. I said, okay. I said, great. I'm looking at him. I can physically see his head and move 6 inches off the ball. I said, well, duh. All right, let's do this. So I said, I just want you to feel, not do it, but feel like your head moves forward in the swing and the backswing. Okay, he did it. It moved 2 inches instead of 6 inches. And guess what? He hit it solid. Was there still head movement? Yes. Did he hit it solid? Yes. Did he score well? Yes. Everything was better. Did his head actually move forward? Not even in the least. But feel versus what actually happens. And you know what? If it works for the player, it doesn't matter. And that's really what it comes down to. It's just understanding how to just communicate and get across to your player. I mean, one of the things I ask my players all the time, I said, when we start talking about coaching and stuff like that, I go, talk to me about your swing. Talk to me about this. Inevitably, one player talks about, when I'm playing well, I really feel like I'm turning my torso through or chest through. Okay, cool. Another one, when I'm playing good or I'm swinging good, man, I feel like I'm firing my arms as fast as I can. Another one talks about his shoulder. Another one talks about his foot. I keep my right foot down just a little longer. Are any of these things actually happening? No. Segments accelerate and decelerate. Everything kind of is an equal and opposite reaction. But if that's what you feel, and it amazes me how they all feel different body parts. They all feel different things. It's never wrong when it's a feel. And again, I think a lot of the banter and the arguments that kind of happen in some of these forums is because people don't differentiate between feel versus real. When you're talking about trying to hold lead wrist flexion through impact and well past impact, unless it's a specialty kind of shot, or is that what's actually happening? No. Is it okay if a student feels that and hits good contact? Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever you need to tell your students that helps them, be my guest. When you're talking to other golf professionals and you're looking at wrist graphs and you're looking at AMM graphs and you're looking at all this information, just, it's not that hard to just be cognizant to say, okay, we know that this doesn't actually happen, but this is what my student felt. Awesome. Great job. If you improve somebody, great job. And I think that's what it is. And it's funny. I mean, the banter in the forums and between pros is comical to a point. It's almost, I don't want to say it's adverse to learning, but it seems that way at times. which is probably why I think, you probably noticed I haven't been on as much. I haven't been commenting as much. It doesn't make any sense. Look, I will help any pro, or amateur or whatever, anybody that wants to learn more or wants more information. I have no problem with that. I don't understand, I don't understand the aversion to kind of potentially being wrong and growing as a person. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I totally agree. And I think that, it's a constant learning curve. It never, ever changes. And if we're not learning, then we're not growing, and we're not
Yep.
and we're not going to get better at what we do, or at life for that matter. And
Right.
it's a journey too. So it's, to me, it's all a journey. And that's why I love doing this show, because I have the opportunity to speak with gentlemen like yourself and other instructors and people who might have created a product or a training aid, and how that can help players and things like that. And then it also helps grow the game, get the word out that, of this game that we love, and that I think is the greatest game that there's ever been put on the face of the earth, because there's so many facets to it, and things to learn about it, and all the people that we meet through it because of it is just remarkable. So some of those people who are looking for your help, or want to just ask you questions, what is the best way for the average player to get in touch with you, or for other instructors to get in touch with you, and find, and just have the opportunity to ask you some questions and gather some information from your vast wellspring of knowledge of all this stuff that you've used? I mean, and I know you're humble about that, but I know that there's a ton of stuff that you know, and there's a lot of guys who you're running circles with, and same as I do, and at least I've been trying to, because I want to learn as much as I can. And those circles are, we're always gathering information in those circles, and then we can pass it on to people who aren't fortunate enough or don't know how to get into those circles. So how can they do that?
Well, like I said, thanks for the kind words. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the fortunate part. I was fortunate. I'm fortunate to be at Rock Hill with Mike Jacobs. I'm fortunate to have friends like Brian Manzella, like, Chris Como, like Sean Webb, and have access to the technology, like gears and stuff like that. And actually now, like, a new friend, Matt Rudy from Golf Digest, and Dr. Duffy and Dr. Kwan and stuff like that. It's definitely somewhat, well, not somewhat. It's extremely, extremely humbling, which is awesome. It's such a great kind of, at least, I don't know, for me, it's a great feeling, because usually when I walk into the room with those guys, I kind of know I'm the dumbest guy in the room, which is awesome. Just means I hopefully am going to learn a lot. Let's see. Probably the easiest way to contact me. I know. You can probably see on my hat. Twitter is probably a good way. This is actually not my hat. This is Ryan Cheney's hat. So he might actually love the fact that I'm wearing his hat on here. another very good pro in Maryland. Great guy. But Twitter probably is good. It's M as in Michael, F as in Frank, M as in Michael, L as in Larry, I as in Indigo, D as in David, E as in Echo, S as in Sam. I guess that's my handle on Twitter. Facebook is good. You can look me up. My profile pic's there with the beard. You can't really miss it. So that's usually a good way to get a hold of me. Or just, you can email me. My Twitter handle is the same as my email. It's mfmlides@gmail. So, anybody that needs information or wants to come up, just, feel free. Don't be shy. Hit me up. I'll preface this right now. I'm not the most Twitter savvy yet. I've been on it a lot more this year. So I'm not the most Twitter savvy. So if it takes me a day or two to, maybe get back to you, just, kind of bear with me. I can, it's funny. I kind of handle a $40,000 3D system, but Twitter kind of perplexes me at times. I don't know what that says, but you know, so yeah, but Twitter, Facebook, email is pretty good. My contact info is out there. I mean, even on Facebook, my phone number's there. Email, all that stuff. So usually you can find me.
All right, Mike. Well, look, thanks a lot for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. You're a very pleasant gentleman to speak with, and I always wish you all the best of success. You're doing a great job out there and spreading the word, and also informing people of the best that you can about the technology that's out there and how it can help them. So, and
No, I'm the one that should be thanking you. I appreciate it. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, obviously, on a rare day off, because come after, what is it? I don't remember. Was it Labor Day or Memorial Day? Whatever's coming up. Which one's coming? Memorial Day.
Memorial
Coming up,
Day,
right?
yeah.
I always get those two confused. I got to remember the whole can't wear white after Labor Day to remember it. But Memorial Day. So after Memorial Day, even though I kind of slow down with my team because right now I'm in the middle of the season. That's when the lessons and stuff really kick off and some more stuff, which is always fun. So on a rare day off today, that I could kind of enjoy some of the outdoors, helping out my dad and kind of doing some stuff and everything else. Last week I was able to wrench on my truck, which was pretty good. So I was kind of happy about that. So, little time away is never bad, and back to the grind tomorrow. But like I said, I definitely want to thank you. I mean, the show's great. I listen to it. The guests you have are great. Everything's, always good. It's just hopefully, again, I have no delusions about what I do. I teach people a hobby. I mean, let's be honest,
Right.
even if you're a tour pro, even if you're a mini tour player or a tour pro that comes to see me or something like that, again, you're playing a game. Okay. I mean, yesterday was this past tournament at UConn was huge. It was just, it's really eye opening to talk to guys that they know what true, they're heroes. You know what I mean? I mean, these guys are sitting there. I was talking to one guy, he's a former Marine, did 2 tours. The guy was wounded, almost lost his leg, lost a kidney, gallbladder, spent 2 years at Walter Reed learning how to walk again. And he was out on the golf course, just taking scores, volunteering, helping. And for him, he was like, it's a day out. He goes, this is awesome. And I got to spend, probably about an hour with him on the golf course as my team was coming through the par 3 and in between talking to my guys and stuff like that. And, that night I told my guys, I said, if this doesn't put it in perspective, I got to give my guys credit. My guys all came through. Every guy that came through took off their hat, shook the guy's hand, said, thank you for your service. Thank you for being here and everything. And, I said, here's a guy that spent 2 years just trying to get his life back. Okay. That we take for granted. And, you guys are complaining about the wind.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if that doesn't put it in perspective. So again, I mean, as a golf professional, I'm fortunate to do what I do. Especially the fact that those are the guys, the men and women that protect that, that freedom to be able to do it. And I think people just need to keep that in perspective, man. What we do, it's great. We're very, very lucky, and not a day goes by I don't think about that. So, like I said, I'm grateful and fortunate to be able to do what I do. And so doing an interview like this is just great, and like I said, I can't thank you enough.
It's absolutely my pleasure, and that's some wonderful words of wisdom to leave our viewers by and our listeners. So, Mike, I'm hoping that sometime this year I'm going to try to make a trip up there and hang out with you guys. You and Michael Jacobs and just it's so tough to get away, unfortunately. And there's so many people who I want to just come and visit and just hang with, just watch what they do and learn even more, because there's always something that everybody does that there's more to learn from. So thanks once again for being here. And as we always say in parting, try to keep it in the short grass.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you very much.